Hi everyone. So I was just sitting and I put my telly on mute and I wanted to do a video because this popped into my head. Uh, Basically, I want to talk about being an introvert, and the reason that popped into my head is because a lot of people misinterpret why I live on my own. Um, and that's usually because they are extroverts and I'm an introvert. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding between the two sides, um, and people don't often fully understand why someone is introverted or why someone's extroverted, and I just wanted to sort of explain it from what I've learnt and being an introvert and what it means. So basically, the best way to explain it is that everybody has a battery in them. And introverts, when they're on their own, in their own life, doing their own thing, uh, usually in their own company, for a lot of the time, their battery's full. That fills their battery up. When they go out and socialise, it uses the energy that's in that battery. They still want to go, they want to socialise. It doesn't mean because you're an introvert that you don't like socialising. Some don't, but it's not the case all the time. It's not a rule. If you're an extrovert, your battery is empty and it gets filled up by socialising, people, nights out, coffees, things like that. And that's why if you have like a night out, an introvert and an extrovert both want to go, they both have a great time, and at the end of the night, the introvert's like, right, I'm done. I've used up my energy, I need to go home and recuperate. The extrovert is thinking, I don't want this to end, let's come back to mine, or let's go to a club or whatever. They want more energy because they're feeding off of that social interaction. Introverts have a limited amount of energy to spend, and when they spend it, they generally have to spend the next couple of days building it back up, which means they tend to stay in the house. They'll happily chat to people and that, but going out and being social days on end is not usually very good. For an introvert, it usually drains you, and what can happen quite often, is that you start to get annoyed at people asking you to go and do things because you're like, I'm knackered, I don't have energy for this. And it can also make people feel like there's something wrong with them. Why do I not want to go out? I like these people, but I'm just so tired. Extroverts struggle to be on their own. They don't like when the party's over, or they want to go out and do things. It doesn't necessarily have to be a party. It can just be going out for the day or going for a coffee or just being around people. They need people and they need other people's conversation. Sometimes that can be to distract them from themselves. Introverts tend to be quite at peace with themselves. That's why I live on my own. I like my own company. I'm perfectly happy sitting with my own thoughts in the quiet. I have no issue with it. When I'm around people days and days and days on end, it's exhausting. And I really struggle, and what can happen is that I come home and I can't do things. I tend to just, I need to lie down. I'm physically exhausted. And it doesn't mean I haven't enjoyed myself, it just means that like I'm tired now. What you'll find as well is that if you're an introvert, some people think that you can't be friends with an extrovert or vice versa. But I actually think it works quite well. Extroverts can help people out their shells. Come on, we'll go and do something. And sometimes people who are a bit more introverted need that. They need someone else that's like, let's go and do this, let's go have fun, come on, and it takes away some of that anxiety because there's someone else there that really wants to do this thing, and you can go along. Sometimes extroverts need someone who is calm, someone who says, let's just sit at mine, let's just have a coffee at mine, or let's just go for a walk, you know, something calm, but still getting that social interaction. And I think it can work really well, but I think there's a lot of misunderstanding between people who class themselves in one category or the other. And I have a friend who's an extrovert, and we have a happy middle ground, and we understand each other. And that's what's important, is that understanding that neither one is right or wrong. For a long time I didn't like being an introvert. I didn't want to be classed as one because I thought it meant that I was antisocial and I didn't like people and I was weird, and you know, I just thought it was a bad thing. Who wants to be friends with an introvert? Until I sort of learned that actually I do like socialising. I'm just selective of who I spend my energy on and what I spend my energy doing. So what I think is important is that there's no stigma being one or the other. There can be extremes of both sides, and that is unhealthy. If you're someone that is terrified to go out and really struggle to interact with people, that's not necessarily healthy. You have every right to be that way. If you're happy that way, that's fine. If you're not happy that way, that's when it needs to be addressed. If you're an extrovert and you physically can't be on your own, you need 24/7, you know, interaction and attention and people, that is equally not very healthy, because it means that your happiness is dependent on there being other people, and that's not always possible. So it means that when you're on your own, you can crack a little bit. So I think there has to be a lot of give and take between the two, and a lot of understanding that it's completely okay to be one or the other. Extroverts struggle to understand that I like living on my own. They don't understand not feeling lonely. I don't understand feeling lonely because I don't tend to feel that. I can miss certain people and I'm like, oh, I'd quite like to have a wee chat to them, or I'd like to see them, or whatever. I don't feel lonely. I know I'm alone, but there's a difference. Extroverts can be like, oh, how can you be on your own all the time? Is it not really lonely? Do you not get bored? No. I don't know whether this is a general rule, but for me, I don't get bored. I never feel bored. I don't feel bored even if I sit and do nothing. I could sit here for an hour, perfectly happy. I can do nothing very happily, partially because I'm quite lazy as well, but I think extroverts don't understand that, and introverts don't understand, why do you always need to be out? Why do you always have to be around people? Why do you always want to go on a night out? You know, for God's sake, you know, and it's exhausting. And I think, me personally, I saw extroverts as they were the happy, confident, bubbly people, and I was somehow not that. Now, I've been called negative in my life, and that really hit me, and it really hurt my feelings, because it was a time when I was struggling to accept who I was, accept that I was an introvert. And I think that's bad. I think it's really wrong to mislabel people. You don't have to call yourself an introvert or an extrovert. You can be right down the middle. There's no rules. It's just to try and explain two slightly different personality types, and how they can approach the same situation. And being an introvert, I like going out. I like nights out. I just have to be in the mood for it, because I have to think, do I want to spend all my energy on this night out? Are these the people I want to spend this energy on? Extroverts, it's far easier for them to be like, yes, let's go out. very impulsive, very, because they're like, yes, social interaction, I'm going to get that energy, I'm going to feel better. So it doesn't mean that they necessarily enjoy the company of who they're with. Sometimes it can just be they physically need to be out, busy, doing something, and they don't like their own thoughts. They don't like sitting with their own thoughts on their own. They can feel really lonely. They can feel like nobody likes them. Why does nobody want to go and do something? They tend to feel that friendship is based on going out and doing things. And if they're friends with an introvert, that can be problematic. So it's all about understanding why the other person needs that. If you're an introvert with an extrovert friend, make that effort to go and see them. Understand that they need that. And it's good for you too. It's good to socialise. If you're an extrovert with an introvert friend, you also need to understand that them being on their own and wanting time away from you does not mean that they don't like you. It means they're just trying to recuperate that energy so that they can then spend more time with you. If you have days and days and days on end where you're using up all your energy, you can pretty much become resentful to that person or those people who are making you use up all your energy, because you come home and you're like, oh my god, and that's you for days. So you don't want to cause resentment. You don't want it to get to the point where you're clashing because you don't understand each other. And I think in general it's good to teach people, if you've got kids especially, that how to be on your own and how to socialise and how to know what you do and don't want to do. Introverts can often say yes to things because they feel like they should. They feel like that other people are social. Why am I not social? I used to feel that. I used to feel like, well, everybody else wants to go. Why do I not want? Why do I not feel super pumped about going on this night out? Because it's going to use all my energy, and last minute plans and things like that are quite intimidating to someone who knows that they're going to drain their whole battery on this encounter, on this night out, on this party, on whatever. Whereas for an extrovert, they're like, yes, finally I can go out, and they get excited, and you'll see that in things that people that are quick to say yes to things tend to be extroverts. People that take some time tend to be introverts. They've got to weigh up, do I really want to do this? And it's important that you both understand when to say no, and you understand when the other person needs to be on their own, or you understand when that other person needs your company. And it's something that comes up in my life a lot because people don't understand how I can possibly live on my own and have very, very little social interaction. Obviously right now barely anybody's having any social interaction, but even before the pandemic, I was very picky about who I physically spent time with. I'll chat to people night and day, that's fine, because I am physically still on my own. But spending time with people is tiring, and it doesn't have any reflection on them as a person. It's just me. It's just what I need. It's me putting myself first. If I say I need to go home, or I want to go, or I'm done, it doesn't mean I'm not enjoying myself. It just means I don't have anything left to give. And you could be anybody and I'd be the same. It's important to have friends that don't drain you. My best friends don't drain me. I feel uplifted after seeing them and spending time with them. I don't feel like I've just emptied my battery. And that's important, to find your people, and find people that understand you. But I don't think it's talked about enough. I don't think there's enough understanding as to what both sides need, or why they do certain things. So that's why I wanted to chat about it. You know, it popped into my head as I was sitting in the quiet thinking, people don't necessarily understand this. I mean, listen, there's no noise, and I can sit here very happily with my own thoughts. And not everyone can do that. Neither one is right. But I think it's important to be able to be with your own thoughts, and it's important to be able to say, no, I need to go out, I need to see people, I need to push myself. But neither one is right nor wrong. It's about understanding each other, and I am such a big advocate for just learn about people, learn about things, and the understanding happens. Education means you understand things. The more you know about something, you're more likely to be understanding, be empathetic, be, you know, able to be on the same wavelength as someone. To get where someone is coming from, I think, is a really good trait. And a lot of that is just education. It's just teaching yourself things. It's learning about things like introvert, extrovert, you know, the extremes of personality types, and what people need to be happy. So if you're watching this and you feel like you're on one side of the coin or the other, neither's wrong. Whatever you need to make you happy is right, unless it's dangerous. And it's important that you push yourself to socialise or to be in your own company from time to time. And just, you know, keep it in mind when you're talking to people. Read more about it, Google it, you know, and just learn and accept people for who they are.